Hi guys, sorry it's taken me so long to get this one out to you. My original video messed up. So you've probably had an opportunity then to look at the Shakespearean sonnets on your own a bit, but I wanted to take some time to make sure that you've come to the right conclusions and that you have a clear understanding of the structure of a Shakespearean sonnet and how that contributes to meaning. So, first of all, you have probably noticed some of the structural elements that it has in common with a Shakespearean sonnet. For example, that it has 14 lines. It also has 10 syllables per line, which means that it is also in iambic pentameter, just like a Petrarchan sonnet. However, there are also some differences. Instead of being divided into two quatrains of eight, or two stanzas rather, of 8 lines and 6 lines, like a Petrarchan sonnet, the 14 lines of a Shakespearean sonnet are divided into 3 quatrains, which means 4-line segments, and 1 couplet, which means a 2-line rhymed segment. And so, since they are divided differently, there is also a different rhyme scheme. And if you have taken a moment to analyze the examples of Shakespearean sonnets on this handout, you will have found that they all have the exact same rhyme scheme. There's not variation to this one like there is in the Petrarchan sonnet. So, the rhyme scheme for all Shakespearean sonnets goes A, B, C, D, E, F, G, G. And that accounts for the 3 quatrains and then the couplet. Using the rhyme scheme is the best way to tell the difference between a Shakespearean and a Petrarchan sonnet. All right, so now we have those vocab words. You know that the 4-line segments are called quatrains, and the 2-line segment at the end is called a couplet. And you have that set rhyme scheme for all Shakespearean sonnets. The relationship between the parts of the Shakespearean sonnet also works out a little differently than the structure in a Petrarchan sonnet. So the structure in a Shakespearean sonnet has one similarity, and that is that there is a turn, or what I like to call a soft turn, at line 9. In the Petrarchan sonnet, that was the beginning of the sestet. In the Shakespearean sonnet, that is at the beginning of the 3rd quatrain. And you can see that right here in Sonnet 18. There is the word but, which is a good giveaway for a turn coming. Shakespearean sonnets, in particular, read almost like riddles. And so the most important thing for you to remember about a Shakespearean sonnet is that the couplet is where you look to unlock the meaning. And what I mean by that is this. The first 2 quatrains are going to set up the concept, the plot, the situation, and what is going on in the poem, the theme, the tone, etc. Then the 3rd quatrain, and the 3rd quatrain kind of starts to begin a turn, and sometimes it sets up the answer or what is really going on there. And then the couplet answers or solves the whole thing. If you overlook the couplet in a Shakespearean sonnet and you do not account for what the couplet means, then you have overlooked the true meaning of a Shakespearean sonnet, because without the couplet, you're not going to know what the poem's really all about. It's all about the couplet. So let's see how that works by looking at this Sonnet 18 that is on your handout. In class, we started by paraphrasing the stanzas one by one. And so I'm just going to kind of give you what the in-class students came up with for the paraphrases of each quatrain. So, quatrain number 1, they summarized or paraphrased as he's comparing his love to a summer's day, and she is more lovely. As of right now, she's winning the comparison. She is better off than Summer right now. Then in the second quatrain, he begins to explain some weaknesses of a summer's day. For example, sometimes summer is too hot and it ends too soon. But then there's also an element in the last 2 lines of that second quatrain where it says that beauty, human beauty, also fades. For this, every fair from fair sometime declines. Beauty also fades. Then in the third quatrain, where that soft turn occurs, he sets up a new problem or kind of brings the main point into the spotlight by saying that, but his lover's beauty will never fade and she will never die. This leaves us puzzled, saying, how can that be? Of course she will die. Everyone dies. All beauty fades. How can that be? So we have to look to the couplet for the solution. And the solution that is in this couplet says, so long as men can breathe or eyes can see, so long lives this, and this gives life to thee. And so we discussed at length how this means the poem. After all, how is it that we here 500 years later know about the beauty of Shakespeare's lover? Why, he wrote it in a poem, and it has been immortalized forever. And now her beauty will truly never fade because the poem itself will live as long as men can breathe or eyes can see. And we all said, "Aw, isn't that sweet?" So that sets up our meaning, and it demonstrates how without that couplet, we wouldn't really know what was going on in this poem. We spent some more time analyzing the literary devices that are in this particular poem and talking about things like tone and author's attitude. But really, what I wanted to cover in this video is the format of the Shakespearean sonnet and how the structure helps create meaning for these poems. What you have now been assigned is to choose one of these 2 other sonnets, Sonnet 71 or When I Have Fears by John Keats, and to use the attached chart on Kittim to analyze these poems in the same way that we just talked about analyzing the Shakespearean Sonnet 18 on the front. And these are kind of hard poems, so it's going to take some close analysis. Start with a quatrain by quatrain paraphrase, ending with the couplet, like we just did with Shakespeare's, and see what you can come up with. And before you write your paragraph, if you want to send me a message and check and see how you're doing, I am more than happy to take a look at that. These paragraphs that we're writing are practice. They are an opportunity for you to try out your hand at talking about sonnets and structure. So please do take that activity seriously so that I can take a look at how you're doing and give you some true feedback. Good luck.